Right now, on the floor of the North Atlantic, the Titanic is being eaten alive, and researchers think the wreck could be gone by around 2030. Before it disappeared, machines went down and scanned every inch of it, building a full-scale digital twin accurate down to a single rivet. And when analysts finally studied the whole wreck at once, the Titanic on the seafloor stopped matching the Titanic in the history books. What the scan found down there doesn't correct one footnote about that night. It rewrites the sinking itself. On the abyssal plain, the Titanic is a decomposing structure, resting 12,500 feet down, 325 nautical miles southeast of Newfoundland. The iron hull faces crushing pressure, freezing currents, and metal-consuming microbes. Each expedition to the muddy bottom reveals fresh damage, from collapsing cabins to falling masts. The ship is actively decaying, with walls collapsing and upper decks folding under their own weight. This slow-motion collapse means that the opportunity to study the physical evidence as a unified, connected scene had a strict expiration date. The mapping project was a race against biological decay. By recording the site in one complete, uninterrupted scan, researchers secured the last complete archive of the real ship before the ocean floor completely reclaims these fragile ruins and dissolves them into the sea. The historical record of the disaster is defined by precise numbers and a settled timeline. At 11:40 p.m. ship time on April 14, 1912, the liner struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. By 2:20 a.m., the ship had completely slipped beneath the surface, ending a struggle that lasted just 2 hours and 40 minutes. Approximately 1,500 people died in the freezing waters. When searchers finally located the wreck decades later, they found the ship split into two main sections, the bow and the stern, resting in about 2,000 feet apart on the muddy ocean floor. For decades, the public and historians alike accepted one central explanation for how the vessel sank so quickly. The iceberg had carved a single continuous 300-foot gash down the side of the hull. In 2022, the deep-sea mapping company Magellan mapped the entire wreck. The work took 3 weeks of continuous surveying on the ocean floor, producing 16 terabytes of data. This massive archive included 715,000 high-resolution photos, millions of laser scans, and hours of 4K video. The result was the first full-scale, one-to-one digital twin of the Titanic, accurate down to a single rivet and projectable life-size. When researchers speak of artificial intelligence in this project, they refer to the computational reconstruction and reanalysis of this complete dataset, rather than futuristic guesswork. This process stitched millions of points into a seamless model, allowing experts to study the ship in context rather than through isolated, murky views. In the 2025 documentary Titanic, The Digital Resurrection, senior analyst Park Stevenson explained that having this complete view changes how researchers work. He noted that the process is like walking a crime scene, where you must see what the evidence is, in the context of where it is. The first major discovery on this virtual map upends a century of textbook diagrams. For decades, illustrations depicted the Titanic snapping neatly in two, like a clean break. The reassembled wreck geometry tells a far more chaotic story. In Titanic, The Digital Resurrection, the virtual reconstruction shows that the steel did not snap. It tore apart under immense twisting forces. This violent tearing ripped directly through the luxurious first-class passenger cabins, shredding steel beams and wooden walls into a jagged, unrecognizable maze. The physical fragments reveal that the ship was literally pulled apart. with the bow and stern sections twisting away from each other during the final plunge. It was not a clean split, but a brutal shredding disintegration of the ship's core. Sonar data from the starboard hull does not support the theory of a single, continuous 300-foot gash. Instead, the computational scans show 6 thin, narrow tears running along the hull plates. When measured, their combined open area is surprisingly small, just about 1 square meter, or roughly 12 square feet. This is an opening about the size of a standard doorway, yet it was enough to sink the largest ocean liner of its day. The digital mapping suggests that the iceberg did not slice through the steel like a knife. Instead, the force of the collision pushed the steel plates inward, putting immense stress on the iron rivets holding them together. Metallurgical analysis of recovered rivets, led by Timothy Folk at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, uncovered a structural flaw. These wrought iron rivets contained high slag content, about 3 times the amount allowed by modern standards. In the freezing water of the North Atlantic, this glassy smelting byproduct made the metal brittle. When the iceberg struck, the brittle rivet heads simply snapped under the pressure. With the fasteners gone, the heavy hull plates sprang apart, creating narrow gaps that allowed water to flood the ship. On the stern section of the digital twin lies a silent piece of mechanical evidence, a single steam valve left in the open position. This physical artifact on the wreck matches the historical survivor accounts of the ship's engineering crew. As icy water flooded the forward compartments, these men stayed in Boiler Room 2 for more than 2 hours. They worked to vent high-pressure steam through the pipes and keep the auxiliary generators running, maintaining electrical power to run the bilge pumps and emergency lights. Because they kept the machinery working, those on deck had light to find their way to the lifeboats, granting hundreds of passengers a better chance to escape the sinking vessel. None of the 35 marine engineers survived the disaster. Their identities remain largely anonymous, but this open valve on the ocean floor stands as a quiet, physical record of their decision to stay at their posts until the final minutes. The massive dataset does more than reconstruct steel. It can also restore human reputations. For over a century, rumors suggested that First Officer William Murdoch abandoned his post during the final plunge. The 2022 scan offers a quiet rebuttal. On the forward deck, the scan reveals lifeboat David 1 in a clear launch position, rotated forward to lower a collapsible boat. This physical clue matches eyewitness accounts that Murdoch was swept away by the rising sea while working to free the lifeboats. The evidence points to an officer who died doing his duty, correcting a century-old slander on the ocean floor. The physical wreck on the ocean floor cannot be saved. It will never be raised to the surface because the waterlogged steel is far too fragile and brittle to withstand the physical stress of salvage. Instead, the ship is actively dissolving. In 2010, a scientific team led by Henrietta Mann identified Halomonas titanicae, an iron-eating bacterium that continuously consumes the hull and transforms the metal into delicate, crumbling rusticles. The loss is already highly visible. The forward mast, the crow's nest, the gymnasium, the poop deck, and a significant portion of the captain's cabin have already collapsed. With total structural failure estimated around 2030, the physical remains of the ship are rapidly disappearing into the sea. Soon, the Magellan digital twin will no longer be a parallel record. It will be the only complete Titanic left. As the physical wreck slowly dissolves, this digital reconstruction remains. But it raises a deeper question. Is preserving a perfect digital twin the same as preserving the ship itself? Subscribe for more deep sea history.